So I actually got married and I have a ring to actually prove it, okay? And my wife is actually real. She does not live in Canada. But the overall goal, guys, is you guys know this is a financial channel. So obviously I'm going to talk about some very important subjects. For example, how much did the wedding cost? Did we get a prenup? And what about the honeymoon overall? How much did that cost altogether? So in this video, I'm going to cover all those bases because the overall goal is not just to make a cute video telling you guys, hey, I got married, isn't this great? Which, by the way, is great. It's a blessing. It's awesome. I'm super happy to get married and all that stuff. But the overall goal is I want you guys to walk out of here with some value, because along the way, before I got married, I got some very terrible advice from people that I actually admire. But don't believe that just because someone has been married for a long time, they know what they're doing. No, you have to learn how to discern things. So my whole goal is to kind of tell you what I was told and tell you the good stuff, okay? So you know what to stay away from and how to actually get things done, okay? Kind of like being like a big brother. I think a lot of you guys are still here from like 8 years ago. This channel is like super old, been posting for a long time, and now I'm one of the old guys here, but that's the overall goal. And you guys know, I'm the boring guy on YouTube. I'm gonna tell you guys things exactly as they are. Now do me a favor and smash the like button and let's get right into it. First, I'm gonna start off with some juicy questions before I tell you about the prenup stuff. So the first thing is, who is this woman? Who did you marry? And I have some pictures here. This is my beautiful wife, and this is actually at the wedding, and you have also a picture of my mom and my wife, and also my grandparents and my wife, okay? And also me and my wife, you know? It was a pretty cool event. Now, when did we actually meet? We actually met in August of 2021, and we got married in March of 2023. If you do some math, that's only about a year and 6 months. And you might say, for example, Tommy, is that really enough time to know if you want to marry someone? And the answer is, absolutely it is. There is a very powerful quote that I love, and it's very simple. It's that if the milk is free, then why would you ever buy the cow? Kind of like using the example that if you get all the benefits of marriage without marriage, then why would you ever get married in the first place? Okay, so commitment is a serious thing. So if you are in a relationship with a woman and you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing in marriage and you're living like you're married, then you probably are never going to take that step to actually get married. But if you're taking things very slow in a sense and you're doing things for the goal, the end goal of marriage, then that whole process of knowing this person for that year or even just 6 months or 3 months, you're going to be focused on one thing: to know if this person is going to make a good wife or make a good husband. Asking questions to figure out, are we on the same page when it comes to God, when it comes to children, when it comes to money, when it comes to family, when it comes to the major important subjects. And if you are, then you're ready to walk that walk. But the idea of, I need to spend 5 years or 3 years with a person, I need to live with them, I need to do everything with them, and then and only then I'm going to say if I'm going to marry them or not. The truth is, you don't want to marry that person, and you're probably not ready to get married. What you want is the benefits. You don't need that much time to decide if you actually want to marry someone or not. I knew I wanted to marry my wife probably within like 3 to 6 months or so. You know, so it's not that complicated. And I'm very direct. Like I am here, very boring and direct. I'm very direct and boring. I ask direct questions and I look at people and see how they actually manage under those questions and how they actually live their lives. Because someone can give you the right answer to something, but they don't really think that. And their life is actually going to show that. Will she be in future videos? The answer is, I come on here, guys, by the way, with my brush. I brush my hair. And that's basically it. And I put on a t-shirt, you know, but women are a little bit more different. They want to be in style and all this other stuff. So yes, she will be in future videos, possibly. Yeah, that's the answer. She's not in this one right here because she's not presentable according to her. But yeah, that's the answer. But you have pictures to look at her, right? Now, before I get to the prenup and these major questions like how much did the wedding cost and my opinion about expensive weddings, I want to give you guys some advice that I actually got from people that are very important in my life, and actually played a big role in my life, both financially and from an emotional and just upbringing points of view. Number one is going to be Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is a man that I actually admire a lot, and he's a lot older today, but a lot of the things that I know today about money, I actually got from him. And one advice that he always had, which was very funny, is you want to marry someone with low expectations. Now, when you hear that, you're probably saying, "Yeah, low expectations, because Tommy, you're not the prettiest thing, right?" No, the idea is you want to marry someone that they're not always expecting you to be perfect, to get everything right, to be Prince Charming all the time, to never make any mistakes. Basically, someone who doesn't understand that you are a human being and you're not going to be perfect, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to do terrible things sometimes, and that person just has expectations to be there with you along that way. But when you're marrying someone with high expectations, you have to be the best. You can't make mistakes. You can't do that stuff. It's like this idea of, yeah, I want to marry someone like that because they're going to take the best out of me. The answer is no. You don't want someone like that, because in reality, if you're a woman, you're not going to stay beautiful forever. If you're a guy, you're not always going to be strong, right? So all these things play a massive role. And that's why that advice is so fundamental, to marry someone that can look at me and be like, "I'm going to marry you, and I know you're going to mess up, and I know you're not that great, and I know you can make mistakes, and I'm still going to marry you." So to me, that's a blessing. And that advice is so fundamental. Number two is going to be advice from Charlie Munger, which is the friend of Warren Buffett. And he's no longer here. He actually passed away. And Charlie Munger, believe it or not, aside from being a billionaire and an investor, he was also a lawyer in the beginning. So he knew the law very well. He got married 2 times and he followed the law accordingly, basically saying the only time he actually got remarried was when his first wife died, and his second marriage ended by him actually dying. And that's the point of marriage, to actually marry someone and enter into a holy pact before God to say, "I'm going to marry you, and the only time it's going to end is if I basically die." And that's what happened with him, okay? He had about 8 kids, and 1 passed away of those kids, by the way, at 9 from cancer, I think it was. But overall, the reason that his advice was basically this, okay? You want to marry someone that you don't need a bunch of documents to help you trust this person. And that's very true. You want to marry someone you trust. And the answer is, if you don't trust that person, then you don't marry them. That's the truth, okay? And you might say, what if I don't trust anyone, with my money or with my stuff? The answer is, then you don't marry anyone. And you don't expect someone to give their life to you in exchange for you not giving your life to them, okay? But money's not your life. Yeah, but it's you, and you're entering into a pact with someone, and you're giving all of you and everything you have, and you guys are going to become one. One flesh is what the Bible says exactly, including your money and including everything you have, okay? And there is risks. That's why you want to be very diligent with who you actually marry. The third piece of advice I actually got was from my mom. And my mom said, "This is not a joke. You can't just change your mind, Tommy." And my mom knows I'm known for changing my mind from time to time. And my friends also know that. And usually when I change my minds about things, it's not like I'm like switching around. Like, no, there's logical things and logical decision making to why I change my mind about certain things, about my investments, about my priorities in life, about my stance on debt and all these things. And usually these mind changes actually give me a bigger benefit. But marriage is not like that. Marriage is not me marrying someone's daughter and making her my wife and then saying, "You know what? I'm going to find me something better that's probably going to be more beneficial for me." You can't do that. It's, I'm going to marry you and I'm going to stay with you forever. And by the way, there is more advice I want to give you guys, but I don't want to make this video too long. So I'm going to be posting a picture, the very first picture of me and my wife on Instagram at TommyBryson. I say that not to plug it, but because on that picture, I'm also going to have slides with my wedding vows. And I want you guys to see that when I was looking up wedding vows, I thought wedding vows was like supposed to be pretty and all this stuff. No, they're promises that you're going to make to the person you're going to marry. So I want you guys to see the way I define marriage in a way, and the way it's actually defined before God, and what I'm actually promising this young lady that I'm going to be giving to her. and my responsibility to her. So I'm gonna be posting that picture on Instagram. It's at TommyBryson. If you don't know my name, just click the link down below, because I don't want you to go to somebody else's Instagram and get scammed, because I have like fake Instagrams that make them of me or whatever, and I refuse to pay 15 bucks a month to get verified, okay? So just click the link down below and you'll be able to see that picture. Now, let's get to the juicy questions. Tommy, how much money did this wedding actually cost you? Okay. The answer is, I set aside a budget before I even got married, before I even had a girlfriend, of about $10,000 for a wedding. Now, the average wedding between February or January and March is about $30,000, and I set aside $10,000. I thought that was reasonable. The actual wedding cost was actually between $10,000 to $13,000, including also the honeymoon and everything else. Now, you might say, Tommy, how is that possible? You know, a venue can be like $11,000, a wedding dress can be $1,900, you know, rings can be like $5,000. The answer is, none of that stuff is true. All that stuff is just marketing and culture. A wedding itself, it's not the event and how it looks and how beautiful it is and the photographers and everything. No, a wedding is the actual activity that's being done. That is the importance of it, okay? So when you think about a wedding, really, it's not that expensive. And by the way, I spent a lot of money on a wedding. You know, $13,000, $10,000 is a lot of money. But that's money I set aside and I saved up for a long time. So I had the money. I refused to go into debt to get married. It's ridiculous, okay? Here's the idea. This wedding ring, it's pretty. Me and my wife, we actually like it a lot. It's the type she actually wanted in preference for me, and I wanted something that was actually thicker. You know, if I bought this in like white gold, it would have been like maybe like $500. This is silver. It costs $20. Her ring is a little bit more expensive, but overall, things don't have to be that expensive. A wedding license is $100 or less depending on your state. A venue, you can do your wedding at a church or at your friend's backyard or rent an Airbnb, asking permission, of course. It doesn't have to be expensive. Food, you can cater food for like for many people. Your friends, they're free. You can put on your Sunday's best dress. Your wife can get a dress from online for like $100 or $200. These things are really not essential. You know, honestly, we spent a decent amount of money on photography. I think it was like between $500 to $700 on photography. For me, you know, pictures are pretty good. You know, it's great stuff. But the only way I'm going to remember what I was wearing or the dress my wife had, the details to it, or my mom or whatever, is going to be through those pictures. But in the end, none of those things actually matter in that moment. No one is thinking in that moment, what about this and that? None of those things matter. So if you want to get married, don't let money be the thing that stops you from getting married, because you can do a wedding under $1,000 or even under $500 or even under $100. You can get a few witnesses, you can get your friends, you can go get married, and then you can go celebrate at Applebee's, whatever you actually want to do. Don't let culture decide what you're going to do, okay? None of those things matter. And I don't like that idea of having expensive weddings, because there are a lot of women out there and young girls out there that are being raised and basically manipulated into thinking that if you can't have this princess day, then you might as well not get married, or you might as well just keep waiting. It's ridiculous, okay? It's ridiculous. It's a very important day, but don't let this day be the day that breaks the bank or gets you in debt. Do things the right way. You know, that's the idea. You don't want to be cheap either, right? You want to be responsible. And responsible can be, all we can do right now is get married at our church, which is beautiful, with all the members, with my friends, my family. I can serve cake. Maybe if I don't have money for catering, we don't have catering, we have nuts, that's fine too. All those things are fine, okay? Don't believe the marketing. Don't believe the hype on diamonds. Don't believe none of that nonsense. Now, number two. Big question here is, did we actually get a prenup? The answer is, some great advice that I got from Charlie was that you want to make sure the person you marry is a person that you can actually trust without documents. And there are a lot of ideas out there from other YouTubers that I respect, and they say basically, You want to marry someone with a prenup when you have a large disparity between your wealth and her wealth, not because for you guys, but because of the family. So when the family acts as, you can say, hey, it's his money, he had to set aside, it's his business. Or people say out there, the money thing is just like a distraction, we're gonna separate it. Or people say, for example, I feel like I worked very hard for this, you haven't earned it, and all this stuff. There are a bunch of different justifications to why people actually get prenups. And I think overall, they all fall short. Marriage is a pact between you and this person before God, and you guys are agreeing to be there for each other 100%. Whether you're poor or whether you're rich, whether you're sick or whether you're in health, whether you're dying on your deathbed, and they have to take. I read it in this book on a wedding book. It's called "When Sinners Say I Do," or "When Two Sinners Say I Do." And it was like a wife, and the wife had to spend like 10 years caring for like her husband. you know what is she supposed to say then? Like, I didn't sign up for that. No, you signed up for that. So all or the pastor that had to give up his pastoral ministry to take care of his wife, because he made that agreement when he got married, to take care of his wife that got sick. So these things are agreements. These are very serious things. And when you want someone to give you 100% of them, and you're not willing to give 100% of you, which is just money and paper, which by the way is important. And that's why you want to do the research on the person before you marry them. You want to marry someone you can trust with everything, with your money, with your investments, with your time, with your energy, with your life. You're going to share a life with someone, a house, a bed, children. All these things matter. And by the way, there's a very concrete question here, which is, Tommy, what if I have a lot of money, and or I don't have. By the way, there's people that don't even have a lot of money, and they still want prenups to protect their cars or whatever. The answer is, don't get married, and that might mean you stay single. But people want the benefits without the commitment. And if you're marrying someone who is extravagantly pretty and she's a princess, and she cares only about money, then don't marry her. Marriage is not like this, what we've been sold with the media, which is like, hey, you find your perfect person, and you guys have, it's so romantic. It's a conscious choice. It's not about looks, because the way the woman looks eventually is going to wear out. She's going to get older. The things that used to stay up, they're going to fall down. Gravity does that. The same thing with you. You used to be strong. You used to be all these things. You're going to get weaker. You're going to get duller. All these things happen with time. So you want to marry someone where the most attractive thing about them is not their physical appearance. You want to marry someone based on values. Who are they? What's their family like? What do they believe in? And by the way, it's not just the family, because you can come from a bad family, but you can be a good person. All these things. And you want to investigate this person, be with this person. And when you actually know this, then you can actually get married. And when I say be, I don't mean, by the way, I'm a Christian. So I don't believe, for example, you should be having relationships before marriage, like sex relationships and all this stuff. You should leave that off for marriage, because it's designed for marriage, okay? That's the idea. And when you do things the right way, is it guaranteed? The answer is no. And at all, but I believe honestly that the person that's going to sustain our marriage is not going to be me, because sometimes I can flake. It's not going to be her, because sometimes she can flake also, but it's going to be God. And it's going to be those agreements that we made, and again, coming back to them and remembering, she's not perfect, I'm not perfect, things are not going to always be perfect, but you can't change your mind. You're in it forever, and there's a piece to that, to know someone is going to be with you no matter what. That's awesome. So I think that's this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.